Thank you. Your response to Representative Ashton's question got me thinking that the Founding Fathers did not indeed have an income tax. They were paying taxes on tea and other commodities. I know most conservatives say no income, no sales tax. Are you saying that a sales tax is something that would be preferable for you?
Absolutely not.
No?
No. And I think you get into a whole new area of economic thinking when you start talking about a sales tax. Ultimately, and I think this will come as no surprise to the members of the committee who know me, I think that what we first need to do is start looking at how we spend our money. I think the choices have to come in spending, and then we can start looking at other areas. But I could see somebody asking next, well, what might you have in mind? Well, I'm not specifically opposed to the idea of expanded slot machines. And I know that's different. I differ in that from fellow conservatives, but I'm not necessarily opposed to that. That may be one area. But as I said, let us have the discussion about spending. Let us have the discussion about gambling. But let us make it clear that an income tax is not a viable option.
But just to put a finer point on my question, you want to put a ban on an income tax into the Constitution, yet you're not putting a ban on a sales tax into the Constitution, which leads me to think that a sales tax is not quite as bad for you.
No, I think it would be, in some respects, it may even be worse. And that's a good growth the next session.
I guess that leads me to a question. Representative Bettencourt, putting something like this into the Constitution takes it away from the legislature and puts it in the hands of 1/3 of the population over the other 2/3 of the population. That is, if you did pass a constitutional amendment, it would take that amount to overturn it and change the policy of the state on well, you were talking about getting rid of the income tax as a possibility in the future generations. You're talking now about getting rid of the sales tax in future generations. What do you think besides slot machines, which you're not really getting that much better, would allow us to escape the structural deficit that was defined in the early 90s and getting around this restriction?
Well, first of all, I would say I have not stated an absolute support for slot machines. What I've said is that I'm not opposed to looking at it. I want to make sure I clarify my position on that first. And secondly, I would say that I think that you and I perhaps have a fundamentally different view of who should be making decisions, and I think that important decisions are made by those who show up. And this is going to go before the people, and it will be up to them to come out and make a decision. And just as it will be in future generations, if we should decide that we need an income tax, and we need it, I said rather tongue-in-cheek about a bill for next session, but in any CACR, it is always left to future generations to re-examine and for voters to come out and voice their judgment about anything that is in the Constitution, the same way that we're going to go about trying to put this in. It's a very complex and multi-tiered process. And it's something that I don't believe should be easy. But I guess, I don't necessarily have, the concerns that maybe you do about putting something like this before the voters. With regard to the future economic health of the state, again, I think that maybe we have a different view. I believe that government revenue comes when taxes are low and when business has the ability to do business. Has the freedom to do business, and that's how revenues come into the state, and not by trying to find ways to tax the individual.
We do have some common ground there. But, that's enough.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just briefly, thank you for your comments. So, just so I'm clear, you believe that the majority should dictate how the monies are spent, not how the majority of the people of the state should dictate. Yeah, is that correct?
I believe it's not simply a majority in this respect, it's two-thirds of the vote.
So then, well, you can see two votes. Just basically speaking, the majority should rule. You agree with that?
Well, I think that on our system, that's the way we do it most times.
Okay, thank you. That's all. Thank you very much.
Are there any further questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your
I'll be taking these in the order that they